Hey everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Glad to be back this week. I took a week off while Gina K was at CHA doing some awesome stuff for ThermoWeb. That is so exciting, so be sure to check out our Stamp TV page about that. But last week I got such wonderful feedback from you on this card that I made with triple play frame. And so I started playing around with my frame because I was really enjoying how these 6 elements with the 3 butterflies and the 3 greetings looked on this card. And I thought, what would happen if I turned this frame? Could I have 6 elements on there framed in the circles? And I was so excited to find out that I could, that there was enough room in that sketch to twist the stamp it a second time, and come up with a whole new layout. Now, the way that my frames are designed, you actually get 4 layouts out of this one frame. So now we've got one that you can use portrait, landscape, and then a 3rd way, and a 4th way. So I think I'm going to make today's card actually going landscape, just so that you can see that. Had a couple friends have birthdays in the last 2 days, so I thought it would be really fun to make a really festive birthday card with these different bows. And I used 9 different images from my triple play filler set. This was out of stock for a while. It's back. I really love playing with these because you can just add these really fun, quick pops of color without having to do any coloring, and it all is fit and customized for this frame, so it just goes so quickly. The products that you're going to need today are really minimal. We're just going to be using the triple play frame and the triple play filler sets, both at Gina K Designs, of course. I've got a large block for that triple play frame, but you could also use a die cutting plate. The ink pads that I'm going to be using today, I've got the Gina K Moonlit Fog, I've got the Blue Lagoon, the Jellybean Green, and then the Gina K Red Hot. I've got some smaller blocks here. You don't need this many blocks, but there is kind of a variety in size, and since I have so many, I want to use several of them today, just so that I'm not getting my fingers dirty by pulling the different stamp sets, or excuse me, stamp images off that I have. I don't have to switch as often, but you're going to need something long enough for the Celebrate greeting. That's the largest one besides the frame stamp. And then I really like to have a small block for these tiny pieces. The smallest pieces that you're using are the heart and then these little corners that match the belly band fillers. And then you might want to use something in between for the bows. Okay, you can do them all on this one, but it's just easier to rock and accidentally catch the edge of your ink pad and transfer that to your paper. And then finally, because you are stamping the frame on top of the frame, you are going to have a tiny bit of an overlap. So here is one that I stamped so that you could see the cardstock that we're using today, just using the Gina K Heavy Base Weight White, and then I'm going to be popping up a layer of the Layering Weight White. So this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2, and then this one I just cut to be the same size as a card front. It's going to be cut down just a tiny bit. The cut piece though is going to end up being 3 1/4 inches across by 5 inches. But I played with it a little bit right before I shot the video to see what was easier. I think it's easier to start on a larger piece and then trim it down, just because if you get a little bit off, you might end up being outside of the edge. So this is the part we're actually going to be ending up cutting out. It's going to come over with a little bit of overlap there, so you have a little bit of extra. You could also make a single layer card if you want, but it's a little bit harder to get these pieces centered, so you'll see that in a second. Also, if you don't feel as comfortable trying to line up the 2 stamps, what you could also do is when you stamp this frame a second time, just to trim out the belly band part with the 3 circles and then layer it over the first frame. Okay, so let's get stamping. So, and I've also got some scissors here, and then I've got these ThermoWeb 3D foam squares, and I really am enjoying these new foam squares. I hadn't used this brand before, so we'll get to that in a second, and you can see why they're really easy to use. So let's begin by getting our frame stamped in that Moonlit Fog. I showed y'all last week with that lavender, but I like the gray with the turquoise or the Blue Lagoon and the red. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. And it was getting a lot of staining on it, and so I cleaned it up with a little bit of the Ultra Clean. Gina K also sells that. And that makes it a little bit easier for me to see through this frame since I'm doubling it up. Okay, so we're gonna stamp this on here. And it doesn't really matter if you get it centered or not because we're gonna be trimming it down. You just want it to be on that cardstock, not going off the edge. So we're gonna just press all over and then pick it up. And sometimes it sticks. These stamps are, photopolymer stamps are sticky. So I just pull it away with my finger real gently. And then we're gonna ink it up a second time. Make sure you get all those corners and into that belly band. Okay. All right. So this time we need to have, for some reason it's just easier for me, maybe because I'm right-handed, to see the stamps that I'm stamping going to the right. So I've got it turned this way. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm lining up this border with this border and then putting this border on this border. So you might get a little bit of an overlap. I'm going to show you my original card and you'll see that there is a tiny bit of an overlap, but it still looks great, I think. So really just looking at those top lines, and then it's going to skip a little space in the middle, so pardon my head. Just putting it on there until it kind of disappears. And it is going to overlap those circles just a touch. You'll see what I mean, just on this edge. And again, if you don't like that, then again, stamp this on a separate piece of paper and cut it out and you won't have that overstamp. This just goes a little faster, okay? All right, so I got off just a little bit, and I think because I was trying to pull back and not get my head in the way. But so you're gonna have just a little bit of overlap, so it's right on there, but then it's a little bit wider and a little bit skinnier there. When you trim this up and have it all stamped in, it's going to look awesome. All right, so I'm just going to cut off this outside piece and then all around the border. And there's a lot of different ways that you could do this if you want to put just these two pieces in the middle of the card. I mean, so there are other custom ways that you could trim up what you stamped here. But I just think this is a really fun new layout to play with, and I love that there's all those little customized pieces, patterned pieces, so you can fill all that in. So I'm going to put my card here just to see where we're going and remind myself of the colors. You can do different colors, of course, or put them in different areas, but I just tried to make the red and the green bounce back and forth around the card. Okay, so I'm going to start with my red. And I'm going to get my filler set. Put this over here. Okay, so, and I think it's easiest to do these this way. So that's how I like to have it turned when I'm doing the little belly band pieces. So I'm going to start with making that houndstooth in the red. And then I'm going to turn this later for my greeting. So the celebrate is the only greeting in this that is going vertically. The other ones are going horizontally. So you're just going to slide this in, and again, pardon my head, you just wait until you see those lines disappear. And you know you have it centered over it. And then we're going to do this one. Okay. And then I need to fill in these 4 little corners. So I'm going to find the little houndstooth piece and get my smallest block. And this one you need to turn. So it's making kind of a little corner there. And then we ink it again and a corner there. That corner. And this corner. And if you want even more color on this card and you have more time, you could color in all of these different lines around the circles and around the rectangular frame. Now let's go ahead and do these cute polka dots. I'm going to come back to this red pad. I just like to get kind of all the fillers on the bands done and then go back in and decide what I want to have in those circles. Okay. And remember, if you want to have the large pieces from the triple play frame, you can do that too, but I just wanted to show ways that you can use these filler pieces as your focal points. Okay, so this blue lagoon is so pretty with the red hot. I love all of Gina's blues. I think they're some of the best in the line. Okay, and then I've got this little polka dot one. So these little tiny ones, you want to make sure you have them centered on your block, and that makes it easier to stamp them. It doesn't be perfectly centered, but just so it doesn't rock, just so tiny. So there's one that matches each of these patterns in here. So we've also got a plaid and then a bold. Okay, so that's all done. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put in some of the bows. So I'm going to do this bow first. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this up here just so I have a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm going to do this bow in the green. And that nests right in there. And then I'm just going to tap this off. And I want to do a bow in the red on this side. Okay. Next, I want to do some of these smaller double bows. So I'm going to do, first, make sure that's clean. So I'm going to do one of the blue Lagoon on this side. Tap that off. And then I'm going to do the Jellybean green bow down here, turning it the other way. Okay. Next, I want to do some of the little hearts. And you could do all those if you want. You could do all different colors, but I just want to show different images, like I said. So I'm going to make, down here on the bottom, I'm just going to do a little pair of hearts. And I stamped that off, so you're getting two of the colors there. Then I wanted to make a little clover here. And you could do a 4-leaf clover or a 3-leaf clover and add the little stem. And actually before, I just realized I did this. Let me do this one in the houndstooth just so that you can see it. That's how I did it on my original card. Okay, so I'm going to do the houndstooth, so it's kind of playing off the red houndstooth. Oh, and I forgot on my hearts, I had said that I wanted to make them going horizontal. That's okay. Maybe I'll just put one more little heart. I don't know. Okay, all right. Next, I want to do my greeting. So I'll go ahead and just do the celebrate, since I put my hearts the wrong way. So I'm going to do this in the blue Lagoon because I wanted this to go back and forth and bring this to the other side. I'm going to do it just a little way down so it's not quite centered. Okay. And just one more of those little hearts again. So I'm going to do the heart in the red this time. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead, I want to accent these bows with these little hearts. So even though it's tone on tone, it just kind of makes the top of that pop. And then I'm going to do the same with this little green one. Or, actually I did it on the blue. So let me show you what that's going to look like when you layer another color. Since they're both cool colors, it's not going to turn muddy. So it's cute. I like that. Okay, and then I wanted to show you how you can use just these little either stitched or dotted ones. So maybe I'll do some of the stitching on this just to make it a little different. So these go just inside each of the framed circles. And let's do one in the red up here, around that. And then I'm going to do the dotted one, and I'm going to show you how you can make this skip over the bow so that it's looking like the little rim here is behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my stamp on top of that bow. I need to make sure this is clean. Lay it on top of this bow, and I just want to use this side and this side. So you can take a marker, or you can use, and part of my head, just the edge of this pad to do just around that bow on the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to turn this and then get it lined up. And then I'll do the same thing up here. And hang on, let me stamp this off just so I can make sure. Okay. So we'll do here and here. And you can skip this step if you don't want to do this part, but just I like to show you all just different ideas. Okay. And that's it. And then we're just going to pop this up onto our card base. Get my pads closed up. So I really like how these thermal web squares, they're really thick, a 1/4 inch thick, so it gives you a lot of dimensions on your card, a lot of lift. And I like how there's no extra around it. Just all you have to do is just peel it off, and so you're using the whole thing. So just slide it out, and I just want 4 of these. So they come off really easily. And then you're just going to pull away the excess. It's pretty sticky, so I do have to hold down the foam with one finger while I remove the other. And then I'm just going to put this centered on my card front. And that's it. There you have it. If you wanted, you could take a marker and do a little shadow under these bows or under the little hearts. That would be cute too. But that's a really simple, quick card. And just think of all the different beautiful color combinations that you could make and how fun you could do with different patterns on that using the bold or the plaid. And of course, you could color it in or add your own different images to these different circles. But again, I just think that is a super fun new layout that I'm going to be using again and again. So I love to make the sets that I've already tried to make so versatile for you, even more versatile. 4 new frames out of that one set. Thank you for watching today. Please visit us at Gina K Designs and Stamp TV. Visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, melaniemuenchinger.blogspot.com. I look forward to your comments and your feedback and our next video. Thanks for watching today. God bless.